Hello, hello. My name is Howie Haven. I'm 6 feet tall. I live here in Los Angeles, California, and welcome to Breaking the First Wall. This podcast is dedicated to the actor's journey in real time from the very, very beginning. This is not about becoming famous, okay? I am talking about the work, the logistics, the little tiny things that you have to do in order to say that you are an actor. Okay, so a little bit about me. I was born in Queens, New York, and I moved to Connecticut with my family like around the time I was 8 years old. So I like to say that I was born in New York, but I'm really from New Haven, Connecticut. That's where I went to high school. And I was never really into the arts at all. I grew up a humongous basketball fan. I'm from New York, so I love the Knicks. And I grew up a big sports fan. My dad was big into sports, but also my dad was a musician. So I was able to learn a lot of things from him just by being in the studio, just by being a kid around him while he was doing this stuff. A lot of times he couldn't find a babysitter, so I would just be coming with him on all his gigs and things like that. So I got really like my start in entertainment from music and from my dad. So, naturally as I'm growing up, I start to dabble in music. I started to play the drums and, pretty poorly actually, up until about 8th grade when I actually started teaching drums to like the 3rd and 4th graders. But I realized once I got to college that the way of expression for me was going to be through music. But, my dad was, he was like the James Brown type. And for me, I am more hip hop, so that's really how I broke into the entertainment industry, was this 2006, 2007, is really when I was like, I heard music differently, and I was like, wait a minute, I can do this. I can make music like this. And then I had actually heard this Jadakiss mixtape. I can't tell you which one it was, but I was in college. I was a freshman. And I heard this Jadakiss mixtape, and I was like, yo, I know I could do this. Like, I know I could rap like this, and I'm nice like this, I just started writing my own songs, and I realized that even growing up, I was actually writing, these things in 5th grade, in 6th grade, 7th grade. I just wasn't really taking it seriously. My actual last name is Edie, so all my Edgewood folks will remember this, that in 5th grade I came out with a song called the Edie Rap. And I got to perform it at the talent show, and it was cool and all that stuff. Since I wrote it was a poem back then, and they put it in a frame and everything, and it was in the school hall, so I was able to see it and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to be a rapper in 5th grade, whatever that means, right? And then, you just start doing things like that. You start doing more music and more. And I think other than, I knew that I could do this, but it really became serious for me when I was in my 2nd year of college. And my dad came up to the school. I was going to UNH at the time, University of New Haven. My dad came up to the school and saw me and the group that I was in. Shout out to Zoo Crew. That was a little college hip hop group that I was in. And we had a show. Now, during this performance that my father was at, the show was kind of like lackluster. You know what I'm saying? It's a bunch of college guys just getting up on stage doing their thing. And it's sort of like the Chitlin circuit when you're like on your way to, to try to do like the bigger shows and everything. And it was one of those times where it was like a moment, right? So my first guy, there's 4 of us. First guy goes, second guy goes, and everyone's like feeling it in the crowd, but they're not like bouncing up and down like you've seen at rap shows before, right? And again, this is not like tooting my own horn or anything, but as soon as I come on, the crowd kind of erupts in a way that, because they had never heard me before. So it was just kind of like a moment where they erupted, like, oh, now the show started, and it was kind of as soon as I came on. And there's a couple of little moments like that that have happened like that in my life. So, my dad comes up to me at the end and was like, yo, I've never seen you like that. He goes, as soon as you started rapping, the crowd went crazy. So, take that moment with you. And then all of a sudden I started, really believing that I could do this, like have a career in entertainment, have a career as a rapper. Most of the people that I look up to are in the music business. My father was in the music business, and a little tidbit about me is I was 3 years old in the studio when my uncle was producing Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe. So that's like my little claim to fame up until I started doing acting and all that stuff now. So from there I started, just rapping more. Started doing showcases, just Googling open mics where I could go and spit, because I knew, and of course coming up then, that was when it was like you had to be nice. It wasn't just about like what this nonsense is now, having a brand and just kind of whatever is going on right now. I don't really love it. There's a few bright spots in hip hop, but the mainstream hip hop, terrible. So coming up in the early 2000s, you got to be nice. I was introduced to Little Brother, not in person or anything, but my boy introduced me to Little Brother, the group Little Brother, and Phonte instantly became my favorite rapper. Instantly. Like instantly. And still remains my favorite rapper today. Still listen to Little Brother today. Been over 20 years. And they have been such a big part of my life, with really just thinking that I can do this. Like belief is one of the biggest things in this entire industry, in the entire entertainment industry. And especially now we're coming out with a lot of people that like are kind of doing it in a cheap way. Music isn't as deep as it was before. Entertainment isn't as deep as it was before. Movies, same thing, just kind of not as deep as they were in the previous years. And I'm learning that new now. So I'm working for like an insurance company in Connecticut. And I'm just kind of, I had just broken up with my girlfriend, and I'm kind of figuring out like, what am I about to do with my life? I'm about to be 30 at this point, and I have no clue what I'm about to do with my life. So I go and I call, it's October 15th, 2019, and the reason why I remember that is because that's my sister's birthday. So I was on FaceTime with her, giving her birthday call, and I told her like, hey, I don't know where I'm going or like what I'm about to do, but I'm leaving Connecticut. I don't know, I just can't be here anymore, and I need to go figure something out, with life. And it was one of those things where it's like, it's a plan, but there's no plan, because I don't know what I was gonna do. I just knew that I work with kids, and there are kids all over the planet, so I could work with kids anywhere. So, and it was to the point where I was like, you know what, like I need to, this is not like let's just pick up and go see something. This is survival. I'm not gonna be here much longer if I have to be here much longer, if you know what I'm saying. So I literally just started circling places on a map, and I looked right on Indeed, and just started searching for jobs all over the country. And a place in Ukiah, California, which I've learned that no one knows where that is, even in California. They called and they were like, hey, like we had a Skype interview, and they were like, hey, did you know that you were applying to a job in California? I was like, yes, thank you. And, had the job interview. They offered me the job instantly, and boom. So that was October 18th is when I had that interview. And after that, it was like, okay, now I have a job in California, so I have to sell everything that I'm not bringing with me, and I'm going to pack my car, and I'm going to drive across the country. And that's exactly what I did. I sold my television, my refrigerator, all the things that that couldn't fit in the car with me, or things that I could get again later. Completely threw them away, or, sold them, whatever I did. And I hit the road on November 1st, 2019. I was on my way to California. And I got to, it was one of those, it was definitely a crazy experience. I remember when I was in Pittsburgh, I was about 8 hours away, and I had to pull over to get gas and eat and stuff like that. And I pulled over at this very sketchy, very weird gas station / barbecue spot. Phenomenal barbecue, phenomenal. I don't know what the place was or anything like that, but if you're in the Pittsburgh area and there's like a really weird gas station / barbecue combo, I can't think that there's too many of those, so that's got to be it. I realized I wasn't going back home. I've taken trips before, and you drive a little bit and then you realize you're going back. It was crazy to me that I wasn't going back home, right? So I just had to keep going. And I was sleeping in the car. It took me about 2.5, 3 days to get there. I had some car troubles on the way, got that fixed pretty quickly. But I think the biggest part about this is I left with $800 to my name, and that was the very last check that I got from the insurance company, from the insurance job that I was working, and that's all that I had to my name. I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I had a spot that I called some people out there that I was going to be able to stay with, and on my way there, they told me that they gave the apartment to somebody else because I wasn't there physically. Kind of crazy, because I told you, we had an agreement, and I'm coming across the country, and now I have nowhere to sleep. So, a lot of people would have turned around, but I still kept going. Ended up in Ukiah, California. Got an Airbnb for $150 per week. This was in 2019, right? The end of 2019 into 2020, into the pandemic and everything. And I got an Airbnb for $150 a week, not a night, a week. So that's where I was staying, and that was pretty easy to pay once I was working at the job. Also, I didn't realize this, but the job put us up for 2 weeks. The people that relocated to the job, they put us up in a hotel for 2 weeks. So, you know what I'm saying? There's little things like that. And like, where I'm staying in the Airbnb, but on Christmas, I couldn't stay in the Airbnb. So I had to sleep in my car. And then I don't know if they heard that and knew that, like, oh, well, let's help them out. But I do know that, like, for people that relocate, they normally do give you 2 weeks in there, in like the hotel that they know, or that they have some sort of deal with. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, after that, I realized, like, hey, you know what? I'm working up here. Ukiah is a very small town, and I'm starting to see my coworkers at Target, at the bar, at restaurants. I can't go anywhere without seeing my coworkers and without accidentally running into them. So that was really tough. So it was like, you know what? Okay, if I'm gonna be in California, I'm gonna do this right. And I gotta check out Los Angeles. Again, there was no plan to start acting. I have yet to even think about acting yet, on this journey so far. So, I work with kids. It was very easy to get a job working in a school, as a one-on-one with kids. I work with kids with autism. So got a job down there. I had to drive the 8 hours down to Los Angeles for the interview. Slept in my car for 3 days while I was down there, and I did like Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, Uber Eats, to make money while I was down there. And then I drove back up, got the rest of my stuff from the Airbnb, told my job that I was leaving in 2 weeks, stayed 2 weeks later, or stayed 2 weeks more, and 2 weeks later I was on my way to California, or on my way to Los Angeles. And of course I had figured out getting an apartment, which also was super easy. I had a bunch of roommates and all that stuff. I had 4 roommates, so that was what it was. But I knew that I was a people person, so it was really easy to meet people and all that. But all I knew was I was going to LA. Went down to LA, and the week that I get there, Kobe Bryant dies. Kobe Bryant and Gianna Bryant and the other girls that were on the helicopter. So all this stuff is happening. I'm like, yo, I had car troubles on the way here. The people that I was supposed to stay with, the apartment that happened, they took that away. I've had to sleep in my car in a town that no one's even heard of. What am I doing? I need to go home, right? But my car ends up breaking down while I'm like a little bit after I start working in LA. So that was a sign to me that I needed to just kind of figure it out there. I can't drive nowhere now. My car hit the shits. So I got to figure this out now. And so then, I'm going to school, or going to work, or working out of school and everything. And then of course, so I've been working there for about a month, and all of a sudden it was like Wednesday, March 11th, I believe. And they tell us, hey, there's some sort of virus going around. They're closing the school for the rest of the week, but it's Wednesday, so it's just for 2 days. Go home, don't come, you don't gotta come on Thursday and Friday. We'll see you guys on Monday. All right. So that was the introduction to the pandemic to me. I still have yet to see those people, right? Again, because of course the pandemic happened, every life changed as we know it, and all of a sudden I'm sitting here like, okay, the world has shut down, and I am here by myself. I got my roommates and stuff, but like, I don't know these people, you know? And I'm here by myself in Los Angeles. I don't know what's happening, what I'm gonna do, but I gotta figure something out, right? So, you know, a couple months go by. I go down to San Diego, see some friends that I knew, and I was staying with them for a while just because it's the pandemic. We were all bored. It wasn't nothing to do. So I guess you can call it, we quarantined together. And then June of 2020. So at this point, we're about 3 months into the pandemic, and my roommate comes into my room on a Sunday with his laptop, and he was just trying to borrow a charger or something like that. I was watching football like I normally do, and he had something playing on his computer, and I was like listening for a couple minutes. You know what I'm saying? It's just a Sunday, we just chilling. And I'm just listening to this voice, just captivating voice, and just talking about reaching inside of you. I immediately go, yo, bro, what is that? You know, to my roommate. And my roommate says, oh, this is my acting class. You know, because of the pandemic, we had to move from the theater to Zoom classes. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And I listened for a couple more minutes, you know. And I'm just like, bro, how do I become a part of that? Really? You wanna be an actor? Like, I go, sure. Like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I just know that whoever's talking, I need more of that. Whoever that was, I need that person in my life. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they could narrate my life, please, you know? And then he, you know, tells me how to get into a class and everything like that. And I'm like, well, hey, you know, I got some money now because I finally got the unemployment from not working at the school, you know, the whole pandemic thing. I was like, you know what? Let's start an acting class, you know? And so that was the end of June, early July, right? So July, August, September, October. So 3 months later, in October was when I booked my first commercial. So, you know, we go from, I have no clue what's going on. I don't know where my life is headed. I need to make a big splash. I need to get up out of here. I pack all my shit, drive across the country to a place where I have never been before in my life. Scared shitless, but knowing that it's that excitement kind of scared where you know you need to do it, but you know it's terrifying. You know, I remember a lot of those nights, well, a lot of them, but you know, two of the nights where I had to pull over and go to sleep. You know, on the way here, it's like there's nobody to call. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm in trouble, I would normally call my dad or, you know what I'm saying, somebody like one of my friends back home. Nobody can help me right now. The most you can do is send me some money to figure it out, right? You know, so, you know, that kind of thing happened. Then I get here and I get to a town where nobody knows, and I've only was there for 2 months, and it was a great job. I loved working there, but there was nothing else. And I, you know, going from sleeping in my car on Christmas, you know, and just kind of figuring it out. And this was a big thing. Felicia from Friday. Yeah. Bye, Felicia. Yes. When I went down for my job interview for the job in Los Angeles, and like I said, I was doing Lyft and Uber to make money to eat and stuff like that and to get gas and all that, right? One of the places where I went to pick up an order to deliver was Felicia's restaurant. Go and pick up the order, and she says, you look familiar, where do I know you from? And I go, well, you definitely don't know me. You know, I am from Connecticut, so there's no possible way that you know me, you know? And I go, but of course I know you, so it's very nice meeting you, and you know, and she was like, you sure? You know, she goes, you look like somebody. And I go, I'm sure, you know what I'm saying? Like, but thank you so much. You know, I appreciate that. Would you mind if I got like a picture with you? It would be really cool, right? Just snap a picture. Here's the picture. And then she was like, you know what? She goes, you moved to LA, you live in LA now? I go, yeah, well, you know, I just got a job. So, you know, at that point I was still looking for an apartment. So I'm looking for an apartment and all that. And yeah, but I'm moving to LA. And she was like, you should join an acting class. She goes, just, you ever thought about that? And I go, I mean, nah, not really, but hey, maybe I will one day, right? And that was in January of 2020. And then 6 months later, I joined an acting class. Like, I love shit like that because it's like, she didn't know me from it. She thought she knew me, but we all know that she did not know me, right? So I look at signs like that where it's like, okay, but again, when she said it, I was just like, okay, Felicia, like, bye, Felicia, right? Like, bye, Felicia, like, fuck out of here, like, but it was just kind of cool. Like, okay, I had a haircut at the time. Like I said, it was an interview, so I know I was looking okay, so it was just interesting. But then now 6 months later, I'm in an acting class, and October was when I booked my first commercial. Literally just listening to what the teacher says. I didn't know what a headshot was. I didn't know what a resume was, Actors Access, casting networks, casting frontier, all these things that I know now that we'll dive into later on in this podcast. I had absolutely no clue what any of this stuff was. And all I did was listen to the teacher, and I booked my first commercial. And let's see, that was October of 2020. And today we stand here on, what's today? On March 22nd. It is Friday, March 22nd, 2024. And I have booked 41 commercials. 39 of them have been non-union, and 2 of them have been union commercials. And we are about to talk about all of that. Okay, so that's exactly what this podcast is for. We are going to be diving into how someone who had no clue about acting goes from that to booking 41 commercials. So I appreciate you guys for being with me this entire time. This is just the first episode. Again, if you are a beginning actor, maybe you don't know you want to act, maybe you're just kind of trying to figure it out. It is a very crazy industry to even try to get into. So if you have so many questions, this is the podcast for you. Even if you're an actor who has been trying to get into the business and maybe certain things aren't working or something like that, this podcast is also for you. If you're an expert, this podcast is for you because you can tell me what I'm not doing right. I'm only going to be telling you guys from my experience, right? I'm only going to be telling you exactly the things that have happened, exactly what you should do during an audition from my eyes, because I've done, like, everything that I'm about to tell you, I've done in an audition room or a self-tape room, because actually my acting career started with self-tape, so it's very interesting to see, the people that are veterans go from being in audition rooms to now the self-tape world, where I was birthed in the self-tape world. So it's just, but I think that it's a very important thing to not just get advice from the expert on this one. It's actually good to get to get advice from people that are doing it right now and are essentially on the way up, and there's no steps that we're going to skip. I'm going to talk about auditions. I'm going to talk about casting networks, Actors Access, Casting Frontier, all of the online profiles that you need. And we're going to be talking about getting an agent, getting a manager, how to do your slate. And this is also, you see this background right here, you see this setting right here. This podcast is going to be in this setting because this is a self-tape setting. Now, I'm not going to wear gray with gray background normally, but I know I look good, so. But these are just these little tips and little tricks that are going to keep you going in your acting career, because the most important thing, just like my main man Kobe said, I am definitely going to be using a lot of quotes from basketball players. Ball has always been life for me. But just like Kobe said, we are going to rest at the end, not in the middle, right? So this is a non-stop thing. This is a never-ending journey. I want people to understand that from the beginning. If you don't want to put at least 5 to 10 years in this business just to even start to get some sort of footing, I wouldn't even start this journey. Okay? So this is a actor's life journey in real time. Okay, so that is the main part. This is not a journey you're going to be like, oh, look, I listened to all these videos and now I have this at the end. Because there is no end, right? There is no end. So again, I thank you guys for being here with me. This is just the beginning. I'll see you soon.